Rev up your engines! Okay, this is why I hate plastic parts, right? This is a plastic part. The inside of plastic is just so flimsy that it comes apart and breaks. We had to buy a new Honda part. It was the only place you could get it. A little plastic piece of crap, but it's 44 bucks. So I'm going to show you how you can replace it. In this case, the electric windows for left and right wouldn't move because the switch had broken. Now it's kind of like a Chinese jigsaw puzzle to take these out. Well, I've done enough of them that I know. First you take the screw that's in the armrest out. And since people lose things all the time, here's my advice. Put it on a floor mat, it's not going anywhere. You can't see the rest because it's tricky. It's hiding inside here. So you get a little pick and you got to start opening this thing up. Do it on the bottom where you really can't see anything. So we get the pick here. We want to start this out. It's snapped in. It's kind of a pain in the butt, but you can see, now that we got it off, there's screws here and screws here. So we'll take this one off, and there's one in here too, which is harder to get to, of course, because it's way inside. There we go. There, now it's out. Now they used to have tons of screws, but that's it. Now you get a flathead screwdriver and you pry the backing. It's weird, but that's how it goes. There's little snaps inside. You can hear them snapping? Okay. And then this is pressed on. Kind of hard to get to, but if you wiggle the crap out of it, there we go. And success. All this plastic stuff is all over the place. You can't access this until you unscrew the assembly. So we got to take these screws off. The whole thing is easier if we unplug this, and unplug this. It's kind of hard getting to this one, but it does unplug. Really it unplugged and we can access this a lot easier. Now you can see we've unscrewed this. We put the screws over here so we don't lose them. And we can get the whole stupid thing out. You got to do quite a bit of wiggling though, because they didn't make this to be worked on, as you can see. There, now it's on the grass. And we can see it easier. They really don't make these things to be worked on, as you can see. Everything hits everything else. There, now it's out. So we place it in the hole, and we screw it all back in, all the screws. And before we go any further, we're gonna plug it in and make sure it works. Doesn't have much leeway, there's not much working room here. Snapped it in. We'll see if the windows work. On the left side, that moves. We'll switch it to the right side. On the right side, move that. There it is, moving. So it's fixed. These parts, they're just snapped in. There's just snaps. You hear them click. Got the screws in nice and tight. And this piece just slips in. It's got a tang in the top. You can see that kind of slides on the top. And you just snap it in. Once you've taken it apart, you got it figured out. But when you don't, it's kind of hard to figure it. Now it's nice and tight, and it goes. Now you know why I hate plastic crap on cars, because it breaks. Now, take my wife's Matrix. Got side view mirrors, but watch this. Here's how you adjust them. There's a little rod you turn. It doesn't break, it lasts forever, and you never have to buy stupid switches that are gonna break. Now, it is also made out of plastic handle, but the inside, as you can see, is all metal. This thing's 17 years old, still works fine. Oh yeah, there's a lot of plastic junk that goes wrong on cars these days, but hey, it's still an excellent car. Just realize, everything's plastic. And if rocks hit your expensive headlights, time for new ones, because it's plastic. And one day your plastic handles will break, and you'll have to replace them. So I do have to say I'm the wife's Matrix. At 17 years old, I've replaced 3 of the 4 handles, but most of them were broken by my grandson who plays football, and he just grabbed them and piled right off in his hand. So you have to be a little more delicate with plastic handles. Don't just jerk them. Just gradually open them. You don't have to touch them when you close them. Don't pull them like a maniac. Just pull them slightly and they will last longer, because this is all plastic inside here. So now you learn how to take a door apart one of these. It's not rocket science, it's just a Chinese jigsaw puzzle. You have to figure out what little pieces to take off to get inside, and absolutely everything's plastic inside there. So don't be surprised if stuff breaks, because it's made out of plastic, especially if you're heavy-handed. That's just going to happen. I have a lot of women that have those giant glued-on fingernails, and they'll keep breaking the switches for the windows because they pull them with their fingernails and they grab them up too high, and then they're burning the motor out and burning the switch out, and then the plastic burns out. And some of those plastic switches on the cars on the driver's door, they can be $300-400. So be careful with your plastic stuff. And another tip with plastic, check this out. This has these view cameras. We'll see where they are. They get dirty. So make a point of cleaning them every once in a while, or you won't see. And for a modern car that's got all kinds of active management, radar, LiDAR. Find out where the sensors are and clean them. And last month I've had 8 people come up here. They had a code. What's wrong with my car? They said. I put it in. It's a code for dirty sensor. Find out where the sensors are, like this one. Clean them every once in a while, and then the systems will work better because they don't work good when their lenses get dirty. I realize they too are plastic. They're not glass. So I use Plexus. It's a really good spray for plastic. Coats it. Keeps dust from building up. So put some Plexus on those lenses once in a while, polish it up. And if you're in a really bad area where there's mud and dirt splashing around, check them every once in a while and make sure you wash them when you clean the car so they don't give you weird codes because the sensors got dirt on them. He's all happy because he's moving back to Puerto Rico in a couple of weeks and he's taking the car with him and he wants to get it fixed before he gets over to Puerto Rico. And here's some bonus questions and answers. Haji says, what are your thoughts on anti-theft devices like a club? A club does work. You club it on the steering wheel, they can't drive the car. But on the other hand, anybody with a hacksaw that knows how to use them gets a diamond-tipped hacksaw, take them a couple minutes to cut the thing off, right? If they really want to. The whole thing about not getting your car stolen is make your car harder to steal than the ones next to it. So they see there's a club on yours, but the one next to it doesn't. Guess which one they're going to try to steal? Just common sense, right? Now, most cars have theft deterrent keys. They got immobilizer keys, or they got remote ones that also have RFID chips in them. So, you know, there's not that easy to steal in the first place. But, like I say, if somebody sees a club, they're going to say, ugh. The one next to it's going to be easier to steal. Like, let's say you have a house. Let's say you don't even have a burglar alarm system on your house, right? Buy a bunch of burglar alarm stickers and put them in the windows and the door. They'll figure you got one even though you don't have one, right? You just want to deter people. You can't stop a professional thief, but most of us aren't millionaires with diamonds and gold in the safe, so the pros aren't going to come to our houses to steal our TVs, you know? Adrian Louise says, Scotty, any updates on the 1.5 Honda turbo engines with oil dilution? I just bought a 2022 Accord new. The older ones had oil dilution. The newer ones really don't, and here's the reason why. They came out with a new type of oil, GF6, right? It's not a brand, it is a type of oil. All the different companies make it. That is made especially for those engines to stop chain wear, to stop oil dilution from both GDI systems and turbochargers. And all my customers that use that 0W10 or 0W20, whatever way, GF6 oil with those engines don't have any oil dilution problems. Some of them had them. They had older ones. Some of them had them, and then they switched, and they actually had their oil analyzed after they get the oil changed at one of these oil analysis companies. Get a sample, you mail it away, and they find out that when they had the non-GF6 oil, they had oil dilution. Then they had almost none after they switched to the GF6 oil. So that's what you can do. Aaron Hope says, can bad motor mounts cause the transmission to shift hard? Well, they certainly can, because the engine and the transmission are bolted together. And if the motor's jiggling all over the place, that means the drive shafts are going to be moving around, and it can shift weird because they're going to be binding, and it's going to be bouncing around. And of course, on most modern cars, it's really hard to even say motor mounts, transmission mounts, a lot of them, they're the same thing. The motor and the transmission are bolted together, and a lot of them, some of them will go on the motor, some of them go on in the transmission, but they all do the same thing. If they're broken and cracked, believe me, fix them. Put a jack under the car. Jack up the engine a little bit in the transmission. If you see it moves and the mounts are all separated, replace them. Scott Yonan says, Scotty, what's your preferred brand of tires? Well, you know, there's all kinds of tires out. One, I would say, stay the heck away from Chinese-made tires. They're crap. That's just the way that it goes. I just bought some tires for my wife's car. Well, I got some Goodyear tires. They're made in the USA. They were a decent price, and they had them in stock at the discount auto parts store. If I wanted a little fancier ride, I would have got Michelin's. I asked for the Michelin's, but the company didn't have them in stock, and they were bald, so I needed them, right? And they also had these Sumitomo tires I like, because they're made in North Tonawanda, outside of Buffalo, where I grew up, and my father used to work in that factory. I think it was a Bridgestone factory, and then now the Japanese bought it at Sumitomo. But they do a good job making tires. But again, the guy didn't have them in stock, and I needed tires. So I put the Goodyear tires on. And they're good tires. There's lots of good tires out there. Michelin, you name it, Goodyear. But you don't want to get tires made in China. Now, strangely enough, they make pretty good tires in Thailand. They make a lot of stuff in Thailand. I bought Lexus parts from Thailand. They make some good stuff in Thailand. My Triumph motorcycle, the whole thing was made in Thailand. So the Thais do a pretty good job. But the Chinese and tires, no, I'd stay away from them. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.